Greetings, Potter fans, and welcome to my first edition of Wizarding What Ifs, where I take certain events in the Harry Potter storyline, edit them, and try to still get back to the original ending of the story. So that could be Dumbledore's passing, Sirius's passing, and in this case we're doing Cedric's passing and how it could affect the story. So if you have anything that you would like to see me put a spin on or create, feel free to comment in the section below. It could be anything as crazy as if Ron and Hermione never end up together, if Harry and Ginny never end up together. No matter what it is, I'll do my best to get creative about it and do a video on it. So in this case, let's get to Cedric Diggory's passing and what I think would have happened or could have happened had he survived. Now in this video, I'll only be covering the Goblet of Fire. So if you would like to see me do a part 2 where if he maybe pops up in Half-Blood Prince or in Deathly Hallows, you guys will have to comment below. I would love to continue the storyline that I'm starting here, but for the time being, we're only doing the Goblet of Fire ending. So just a brief recap on what happened towards the end when Cedric passes. Now, if you're only a movie watcher, I highly recommend that you go read the Goblet of Fire book or listen to the audiobook because some of these details may be lost to you. Now, in the Little Hangleton Graveyard is where Cedric originally passes. He gets hit with the Kill the Spare, Wormtail performs the ritual, Harry gets antagonized, Harry escapes with Cedric's body, they return, the false Moody, Barty Crouch Jr., going to Dumbledore's office to relive all the events with Sirius also in the room, going to the hospital wing where we see Fudge's betrayal live, and of course the last feast of the year when the students leave. That's the gist of what happens in the last few chapters of Goblet of Fire. So with that being said, every single scene there doesn't require editing, but there are some parts that will, and that will require me to change some dialogue. Believe me, I'm not covering every single aspect in every single dialogue, but there are some parts, like for example the ending speech, if Cedric survives, that we need to change, right? Without further ado, I'm going to get into it. I hope you guys enjoy. So Harry and Cedric still land in the Little Hangleton Graveyard and are confused about where they are. Voldemort says the infamous line, "Kill the Spare."
What do you want? Kill the Spare!
But in this instance, Harry actually is able to react. Even though he's in pain from his scar, he's able to react and push Cedric out of the way. This causes Harry to temporarily lose his wand while also still being in a lot of pain. Now Wormtail attempts to restrain Harry temporarily, but Cedric intervenes, and this causes a temporary duel between Wormtail and Cedric. Cedric has been overpowered and forced against a headstone in the same way that Harry was originally. Now Harry picks up his wand and is about to attack Wormtail, where Voldemort tells him to stop. If you continue, this boy's life will be forfeit. And we all know Harry's nature. Harry is never going to sacrifice anybody's life for his own, so he drops his wand and is then restrained in the same way he originally was. Now everything from this point continues the same. Wormtail performs the ritual, Voldemort is brought back to his original body, the Death Eaters are summoned. Now a change here that I made is that in the scene where Voldemort is antagonizing his Death Eaters and showing a little bit of love to Wormtail for bringing them back, he restored Wormtail's arm. Now in this scene, actually, I have Voldemort walk over to Cedric, and Voldemort touches Cedric's face and says, "Such a handsome boy, and yet my servant is missing an arm. I do so hate to spill magical blood." But splash, Voldemort severs Cedric's arm, and he used dark magic to do it, reforms it in a way and places it onto Wormtail. Now I think this falls in line of the nature of Voldemort. While I do truly believe he does hate to spill magical blood, he still will do it when necessary. And my idea behind this was, well, he had no intention to let Harry survive, and I felt the same way about Cedric, so why not use him here? In the midst of this, of course, Cedric is yelling in pain, and in this moment, as we know Harry does a lot, he internalizes and talks to himself. Harry, who's unable to see what happens to Cedric, is internalizing, "Please don't let Cedric be dead, please don't let him die." After this, everything continues as the original story does. Harry duels Voldemort, Priori Incantatem. However, Cedric is still alive, though he is in a state of near death. Harry, of course, gilded by the spirits who were killed by Voldemort, is able to summon the strength to use Accio Portkey, but in this case, of course, he's taken an alive Cedric. So that's the graveyard scene. I tried to stay completely true to the original characters, but moving on. Now, in the next scene, it's the Return to Hogwarts scene. where we already know what originally happens. Cedric's dead body, Harry gets taken off. Now Harry lands back with Cedric, who looks as if he could be dead, and the reaction is just the same because he's not moving. There's a severed arm, there's blood, so people are, he's not moving, is he dead? Harry is freaking out because he doesn't know if Cedric's dead. He's too in his mind, he's too overly emotional about everything that just happened to him. Amos Diggory, Dumbledore, Fudge, Ludo Bagman, everybody still runs over, and at this point they're checking on Cedric. Now it's in this moment the same way it happened in the original story. Moody, aka Barty Crouch Jr., gathers Harry and takes him away. But in the midst, before he kind of does, Madame Pomfrey is checking Cedric and realizes that he isn't dead. There's a bit of a panic and rush in the crowd, and of course it creates that same effect where Dumbledore doesn't see how Moody necessarily take Harry away, because they're still trying to gather Cedric and then take him to the hospital wing to possibly be healed. Now everything that happens in Moody's office doesn't change. It's literally the exact same it happens in the original story, so we can skip over that scene. Next though is Dumbledore's office, where after everything that happens in Moody's office, Harry has to relive the moments in the graveyard to Dumbledore with Sirius in the room with him. Now I don't make a lot of changes here. The only significant change I make is the original speech that Dumbledore gives to Harry to get him to talk to him about the graveyard incident. If you remember in the book, Dumbledore asks Harry to be brave. He's asking him to please, I know you've been through a whole ordeal and you've managed the strength to bring Cedric's body back and to get here to tell the tale, so please I ask you to tell me every detail that happened. And of course Sirius didn't want this, but Harry did it. Now the changing line is here is that Dumbledore says, before anything else, Cedric lives. Madame Pomfrey stabilized him, but his wound is beyond her skill. And Harry says he's alive. And Dumbledore says, yes, thanks to you. And he continues along the lines that you have been a brave young man, more than I can ever dream of you. And of course he gets into reliving everything that happens. So that's that scene. Moving on to the next one, which is the hospital wing scene. Now I totally hate that the movie didn't include this scene, because I think it's one of the best in the entire series, only because it shows the true nature of how fearsome Voldemort's return really is. So the changes I made here is actually when Harry first arrives, there's a bed that you can clearly see that is stained with a lot of blood and wrappings, and Harry assumes that that is Cedric's, and he only tries to imagine what Cedric went through. And of course he's feeling guilty, and he's also very tired, and we know that he goes to sleep. Nothing else changes in this scene. Everybody that was originally in the room is still in the room, so that includes Dumbledore, Hermione, Ron, Bill, Mrs. Weasley, Sirius of course in dog form, and then the event happens where Fudge, Severus, and McGonagall walk in, and of course Madame Pomfrey coming out of her office. So of course in the original scene they're arguing about Fudge's use of Dementors. Immediately upon Barty Crouch Jr., and Dumbledore argues to him that you could have gotten testimony from him about the events that I've been telling you about Voldemort's possible return, but you panic and you killed him. And of course Fudge argues back that nothing to gain from that madman, he's delusional. Now after Dumbledore mentions it's about everything I've been telling you for the last year, Cornelius, is that the signs of little Voldemort returning, Harry and Cedric saw him. My changing lines are from Fudge, preposterous, injured boys, wild tales, you know who, returned, nonsense. Harry, who is still weak and just woke up, it happened. Voldemort is back. Cedric saw him. He fought Wormtail before he lost his arm and passed out. McGonagall goes, Cornelius, you saw the boy's condition. No maze enchantment did that. Fudge, trauma, delirium, I will not spread panic. Cornelius, you are blinded. He has returned. Act now so that you may unite the world. But of course Fudge flat out refuses, even with Snape showing him his curse mark. All those events still happen the same. And of course Fudge must deliver Triwizard winnings, and he does so at Harry's bedside, but he says, as you were the one who returned with the trophy in hand, you will get the winnings. And Harry, of course, he doesn't want it, but that's how the scene ends. Nothing else changes. The original Order of the Phoenix being called back together, Dumbledore sending each person off to their missions, all that stuff happens exactly the same. For the last scene, the speech in the Great Hall to all of the students. Now I've changed Dumbledore's speech a bit to recognize Cedric's survival. Cedric Diggory returned from the maze alive, but gravely wounded by dark magic. He may never be the same. We do not honor him for what he lost, but for the courage he showed. Whether the ministry accepts it or not, Lord Voldemort has returned. You will hear this denied. You will be told Cedric's suffering comes from the trauma of the tournament. Do not believe it. In the days to come, you must choose between, of course, the original line, what is easy and what is right. Let us be worthy of Cedric's courage. Dumbledore mentioned Harry surviving it, and that's the end of it. That's basically it, guys. I do want to recap real quick some of the changes just to, bring it all together. Significant changes were Cedric dueled Wormtail, Voldemort maims Cedric for his arm, Harry returning with Cedric unconscious, Cedric is moved to St. Mungo's, the hospital wing showdown with Fudge denying even the eyewitness account of Cedric, and of course Dumbledore addressing Cedric's survival at the last feast. So guys, that brings me to the end of this edition of Wizarding What Ifs. Please give me your full thoughts on this if you enjoyed it or not. If I'm butchering the story, I feel free to let me know how you feel. It's okay. I'm a big Potterhead too. You see the tattoo? I'm a massive Potterhead. I wouldn't have started this channel if I wasn't a fan. But I do like to play with what if scenarios sometimes because it expands the story a bit, even though it's not from the original creator. Again, if there's anything you would like to see a what if about in the original story, please don't hesitate to put it in the comment section. What I will try to attack that, and I'll let you guys know. Until then, please hit that subscribe button, like the channel, share the video. I really would appreciate it because I do find doing this content extremely fun and entertaining even for myself. Till then, peace. Have a good one.